Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the Fosi Audio V3, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank Fosi Audio for providing the V3 for a review. Do greatly appreciate it. Fosi Audio, you rock. Alright, so the Fosi Audio V3, this is a Class D speaker amplifier. It'll set you back $90 from the bank account. And it has all sorts of technology that I don't really understand. So Fosi Audio reached out to me and asked if I was interested in reviewing the V3. And I'm not much of a speaker person. Now, I own some passive speakers, Wharfdale D310s, which are behind me, Martin Logan Motion 15s, and some Sonys. But I don't own a whole lot of speaker amps, and I haven't reviewed a lot of speaker amps. And I haven't really researched a whole lot about speaker amps. It's just not something that I have been truly interested in. I just want speakers to play music and to enjoy it. So this review is going to be very basic. It's going to be my thoughts on the V3, how it's built, how it looks, and how it sounds to my ears with the speakers that I use. But just take it as that, my own impressions. There are better sources out there when it comes to speaker gear to get a more substantial opinion on the V3. I understand that I'm not the best source for this, but I was asked to review it, and so I'm just going to be open and honest about it. And so here are my Honest Audiophile impressions of the Fosi Audio V3. All right, some specs. The Fosi Audio V3 is a Class D speaker amp. It has a logarithmic taper A pot, swappable op amps, has a Texas Instrument TPA 3255 amp chip. It also has Japanese ELNA capacitors, German WEMA capacitors. It has Japanese Sumida audio inductors. It has Japanese NCC capacitors. All kinds of stuff. All right. So if any of that means anything to you, cool. I honestly don't know anything about it. It has an input that's RCA. It has output that are banana and wire, bare wire connectors. It does have a 3.5 millimeter pre-out. Synad is 88 dB. SNR is 110 dB. Dynamic range is 110 dB. THD is 0.003%. And it has a maximum output power of 300 watts at 4 ohm. Also, the power supply. This needs to be discussed because today we're going to be reviewing the 32 volt version of the power supply that is provided by Fosi Audio. Apparently there is also another power supply that is 48 volts that is available, and that one is the preferred one among other reviewers and users. So apparently it gives additional output power and current and more headroom and just a more robust and authoritative sound. So depending on what speakers you're using. So I do not have that power supply to use and to compare. So I'm reviewing the 32 volt version. All right, all that out of the way, let's talk about the V3. So the V3, it's cute. It's nice and small, very light, and it's not going to take up much space on the desk. It has these little rubber feet on the bottom that are very grippy, and it's just going to stay in place no matter what you set it on. Has plenty of venting on it. There is a heat sink on the inside of it as well. And on the front, you have this big, nice volume knob that's very easy to grip for fingers that, like mine, they're nice and long and a little bit fat. And it's just able to grip it and move it. Now, the copper one is not the stock one. It actually does come with, what I do with it. Oh, here it is. It fell on the floor. Black. So the black volume pot is actually the stock one. They include the copper one in the package for me, and I was like, I like the copper one. I put it on there, and it has never left. The only other thing you get inside the box besides the extra volume knob is some paperwork and the external power supply. So it's not much of an unboxing experience. Back to the case. The case is very nice. You got a little bit of branding here on the top. You got some venting. It's a very nice looking device with the black and the copper. And then on the back side, you have your power supply input, your banana plug bare wire connectors, your 3.5 output for your pre-out, and then your RCA in. That's it. It's a very simple device. To turn it on, you just turn the volume knob and it clicks. There is a slight popping noise when you turn it on. Very, very slight though. It's not anything to worry about. I like the look of it. There's a very small white LED light also that comes on. It's not too bright. It may bother a few people, but for me it was nothing. So, how does the Fosi Audio V3 sound? Now, I tried it with various speakers. I tried it with my Sonys, Martin Logans, and the Wharfdales. The Wharfdales were the main speaker that I used with the Fosi Audio V3. I find that the V3 has a very clean sound. It doesn't get distorted even when it is max volumed out. But I do think that that is because it is a little bit limited on power with the various speakers I used. And I say that because there were a lot of times, no matter if I was listening to voice or a musical track of any sort, that I could max the volume out and be sitting where I'm sitting and go, this is just like loud. It's not even too loud. This is just like comfortable loud. So it doesn't have enough power to really drive some of the speakers that I have. And I noticed that at times they could sound a little bit dull. And then other times they could sound a little bit peaky up top. And so I think that that was because of the power. Now, if I had the 48 volt power, it probably would be a different story. And I think it would be driving things a little differently. So if you're going to use the 32 volt one, you're going to want something really efficient when it comes to speakers. But I found that for the most part, the V3 has a very clean sound. It has a little bit of crispness up top and not quite as much body down below. But overall, it has a very natural tone. And I found that instruments and vocalists were reproduced the way that they should sound. And when I compared it to all the other gear that I have behind and to other speaker amps that I have, that is a Audiophile, the instruments and the vocalists sounded proper in the way that they should be reproduced. The V3 takes whatever the source is as your DAC and reproduces it. So if it's a DAC that has a little bit of a warmer sound, something like an AUN X1S GT or an Audiophile Deckard, it's going to add a little bit of warmth to the sound. If it's something very analytical and very clean sounding, off of like a Mytek Liberty DAC, it's going to sound a little bit more analytical and a little bit more in a neutral sound. So overall, I like the Fosi Audio V3. I just wish it had more power and was able to drive the speakers that I had, but it reproduces and reveals what is being sourced to it. So no complaints there. I did not use it as a pre-out. I should have tried that, but I didn't have a cable with a 3.5 to an RCA. So overall, the V3, I don't really know what to think about it. I like the sound of it, but it doesn't have a whole lot of power. If the 48 volt power supply changes it for you, then it's a very good value, especially at $90, being Class D, extremely small, doesn't get very hot, and all that sort of stuff. But I think for a little bit more, you can get more power and be able to drive speakers efficiently. That's been my experience with the Fosi Audio V3. Thank you very much, Fosi Audio, for sending it over. It's much appreciated. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on screen, subscription links, notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video, and check out the links down below. There's all kinds of information down there regarding how you contact channel, follow channel, support the channel, all that kind of stuff. Speaking of supporting the channel, I want to thank my YouTube members and patrons for all the support that they provide to the channel. It is much appreciated. And if you're interested in supporting the channel, there's all kinds of ways that you can do it, through one-time gifts through PayPal and Venmo, or monthly subscriptions through Patreon and YouTube memberships. Joining YouTube memberships or Patreon, there are levels that will give you access to my private Discord server and other benefits. So like live streams with patrons only, or private chats with you supporting me. So check out all the various ways that you can support the channel if you're interested. And lastly, don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.